morning, everyone. Welcome. Joe Scarice, your founder and host of the Creative Birth Strategy House and live at the Creative Birth Strategy podcast. I want to thank everybody for coming in this morning. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. Another great subject to discuss. What are most important factors in real estate lending for you? Always want to put a good shout out for our sponsors. We have Lendmark Capital, which I am now the head of origination and lending. We are an asset-based lender nationwide in all 50 states, rental loans, fixed-to-rent loans, fixed-to-flip loans, new construction, multifamily, mixed use. Also, we have MB Capital, which is our unsecured business lines of credit group, providing unsecured business lines of credit in the name of the LLC for real estate professionals, B2B, different types of business opportunities. We have Abstract National, which is our national title company that provides insight and title services and strategy for real estate investors. Then we also have Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, which is a national publication that provides insight and strategy updates and articles with real estate professionals throughout the country, which we also coordinate events with, which we just completed an event up in Denver. We have our upcoming event in Philadelphia, which we will start really pushing out over the next little bit, which is April 13th at the Montgomery Museum. And then we're here every Saturday and Sunday. Saturday mornings, 8 a.m., and Sunday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're live on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and we always have to put a big thanks out for our key sponsor. I always call him the Oz behind the drape, Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech. He is the backbone to this podcast, what we do here on Clubhouse, how we get our marketing out and distributions out. He keeps us in the loop and allows me to keep everybody else in the loop in regards to what we're doing here week to week, different types of educational subjects and opportunities. Recently, I just finished up writing a module for CE on asset-based lending, where I'm now providing CE for licensed real estate agents in every state in the country, understanding and navigating asset-based lending. It's one of the most unique courses that I've been able to put together myself. It's going through all the approvals. If there's an opportunity that we can collaborate or co-sponsor an opportunity to get in front of real estate agents that want to be that investor-friendly agent, please let me know. We can work with a title company or a property casualty insurance company. We could put some type of event on, and it doesn't matter what state it's in. I could fly in, obviously present, provide, and give back, and provide the CE to the licensed agents that really want to learn about asset-based lending. Let's dive into a little bit, some updates to our what's going on in the market today. I always try to give a little brief overview of where we're going things. Mortgage rates are kind of playing a little topsy-turvy, anywhere between a quarter to a half a point. They dropped down a little bit to about 6.85 base, 6.87. They were as high as 7.25 this over the last 2 weeks. Very interesting circumstances there. Apartments rents are kind of falling in certain metro markets. Kind of keep an eye on the market rents. I'm also starting to see appraisals come back a little lighter. A lot of appraisal orders over the last couple of weeks have come back a little lighter than expectations. So keep an eye on that. I'd be careful, and when you're putting together your numbers, to better understanding after repair value and also your market rent, I would pull back a little bit and be a little more conservative because you're starting to see some impact. Also, the demand for industrial real estate has surged, which has been pretty interesting. It's You're going to see a big problem in the commercial office retail space for quite a while now. Occupancy is very topsy-turvy or low. You're going to see a lot of conversion announcements in a lot of the urban settings throughout the country, east of the Mississippi as well as west of the Mississippi. You're going to see warehousing, industrial, and more of the agricultural or rural areas prosper quite well. So keep in mind, some of those are some things that are out there right now that you want to keep your eye out. So The discussion this morning is what are the most important factors in real estate lending for you? And I put an article together on LinkedIn. I usually try to put an article or two to the subject at hand that we're discussing on that weekend. So if you want to follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn, please do so. I love staying connected with everybody. It's a great, it's another great way of staying connected via Clubhouse is LinkedIn. All my contact information is there. Um, Anything that you need, insight, website work, so anything that you need to have a discussion about, whether it's lending, whether it's strategy, whether it's social media analytics, just reach out to me via LinkedIn or Instagram for that matter, and we can set up a strategy talk. So, there's some very important tips and strategies in real estate and lending, and knowing your financial situation is probably the um, number one option to look at. Understanding your own financial position thoroughly, knowing your credit score, debt to income, and how much you can afford to borrow. Know what your buying power is. I have too many conversations with investors that don't know what their credit score is. I'm like, how do you not know what your credit score is? How do you not have an Experian account to know what your credit score is? Also, researching lenders. There's so many layered lenders out there. There's brokers or broker bankers. There's traditional lenders that are claiming to be non-QM. Really do the homework to see who is the most non-layered um, lender that's out there. You want to go to the balance sheet lenders. You want to go where the money is being peeled off without a lot of cost. Okay. Building relationships, cultivating relationships with lenders, both traditional and private lenders, establishing that good relationship can make it so much easier to secure financing in the future. And then understanding loan types. I'm having conversations with individuals that are one trying to learn the lending space, two understand their lending space, understanding the different terms, and understanding the different facets to a loan. I had some questions this morning about underwriting fee and the legal fee. There's flexibility in that when there's a voluminous type of situation with a client. So typically, if I get my underwriting fee, my standard underwriting fee is $9.95, right? But if I know the client's submitting a couple loans at the same time, I could be $9.95 on the one deal and then $300 for the next two or three deals. If I have one client that's submitting 5 loans on tomorrow, so he's getting charged $9.95 for the underwriting fee once, then $300 for the next 4. Now the legal fee, a lot of hedge funds or balance sheet lenders such as myself don't have in-house counsel to do the legal process, but there's always typically a legal fee. That's kind of a flat fee of $9.50 a loan. Okay, so that's kind of where the costs come in when it comes to closing in a non-QM space. Um, and then obviously there's the appraisal, which people are thinking appraisals are still at $400-500. They're not. They're between more 500 to 650 right now on a single family 2 through 4, about 650 to $700, and then so on and so on. So you really need to understand what type of loan type. Like to me, is it a 30-year fixed? Is it a fixed to rent? Is it a fixed to flip? Is it new construction? Is it a bridge from a bridge? I'm getting a lot of calls, obviously, on hard money clients that were in hard money, and now they're not done with their project, but they need another bridge to another bridge because they're not completed with the project. So there's different discussions. You need to be proficient and confident and competent with that. Preparing a strong business plan. Lenders will want to see a solid business plan that outlines your investment goals, strategies, and expected returns. Make sure your plan is well researched and realistic. So, what I do to better understand a client when it comes to real estate, I send them what I call a data tape. I want to see what their real estate investment portfolio looks like, good, bad, and different. Also, understanding what you need for a down payment. Most lenders will require a down payment for real estate investor loans. Make sure you have enough cash on hand to cover the down payment as well as any closing costs. So you really need to understand what you need to put down on a property. I'm not a big fan of the bait and switch advertising that's out there, which is really false of 100% financing. If you get it, God bless. I've never had the opportunity to get 100% financing on purchase and rehab. Good luck with it. If you claim that it exists, good. Keep going to that lender until they run out of money. But I know in my world, you need skin in the game. whether it's 10, 15, or 20% on the purchase on the rehab side, or 20 or 25% on the standard purchase side. You're going to need to have money into the deal. And that's why I refer a lot of my clients to get unsecured business lines of credit so they stay liquid and they stay very fluid in providing opportunities for themselves when it comes for down money. Understanding and considering understanding the property really intimately. You should know what the square footage is. You should know what type of renovations need to be done. What are the relevant renovations that are being done in the surrounding markets? Understanding your surrounding markets, mitigating the risk as well. Being aware of the risk involved in real estate investing and taking the steps to mitigate. Are you going to self manage? Are you going to hire a property management company? What's the deferred maintenance look like on a property like the one that you're looking at? Are you going Section 8 or are you going market rent? And how is that going to impact deferred maintenance and vacancy? Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts there that you need to keep in consideration. Understanding and building your credit, whether it's through your business, your LLC, and understand how to build that credit out to keep creating more lines of credit and opportunities through your business, trying to stay away from your personal credit. Stay informed. Keep yourself updated on changes in the real estate market and lending industry. This will help you make informed decisions and adapt your strategies as needed. And I always tell people, sign up and get that RSS feed from Mortgage News Daily. Understand what's going on in the market, whether it's the rate or articles. I'm typically posting 1 or 2 articles a day from Mortgage News Daily's DS News, Housing Wire. I want to stay in a know. Following some of these tips, you can increase your chances of securing really good financing on real estate investments and ultimately achieving your investment goals. Good morning, Joseph. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion this morning. What are the most important factors in real estate lending for you?
Good morning, Joe. As always, thank you for having me up here and talking, right? You're the guru when it comes to DSCR loans, and I always go to you. But, you mentioned private lending, and I've done some private lending as well. And as you pointed it out, it's all relationship based. You can't just give your money out to just anybody. And when someone's coming to me and looking for, whether it's, bridging the gap between their rehab, it was a little bit too much, right? I mean, I'm looking at their trustworthiness. I'm looking at the deal itself. I'm underwriting it just as well. And if they don't know the details that they're supposed to know, or even prepared with half of the stuff, and if you're in the middle of a project and you don't know it off the top of your head, there's a problem there. That means you're not really intimately involved in your project like you should be. And so that's a no-go. Again, I'm very protective of my money, and rightfully so. I mean, I'm not really interested in lending money privately. It's just while I'm waiting around for a deal, I might as well let it grow a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of how I go. It's all about how you present yourself, and I think that gives your lender some ease when you're able to give all your documents. I get all my documents to you within an hour or two if I ever needed to. So I don't understand why people can't or don't know intimately what they're doing.
Well, Joe, let's talk about what we went over yesterday. We went over a condo scenario. It took about 3 minutes to know, hey, listen, this is what asset-based lending's appetite's on. And it was more of a local credit union, local bank opportunity because they can give you better leverage, but you're going to get full documentation. It's in your personal name. I'm doing it in the LLC, so I'm going to take a little more conservative approach. But my rate was actually as relative or as good or better than the local banks. What was your thoughts on that?
No, your rate's not far off. It's on point, right? Your rate is on point. It's not a. It's almost comparable. So, no, there's no difference in that. But let me tell you, boy, it was rapid fire yesterday when you were asking me all those questions, and I was like, ooh, at least I had it all written down. I had to rush to get it written down. I was feeling like I was on the Joe Scurry's countdown on Clubhouse.
Well, I got a question for you, but don't you think that you should have that information if you're going to buy a property? I mean, logically, right? You should know it.
You should. You absolutely should. But you cold called me. Let's get that out there. You cold called me. It's not like we had a setup call, right?
Yeah.
So I had to run to get my paperwork, but no, you're 100% right. You need to know that if you're going into a deal, you need to know the ins and outs of it. And if you don't, there's a problem.
Yeah. I think people think, they could just draw a stick figure on a Facebook Messenger and somebody can just quote a rate. Now that I get insulted, I just kind of like look at these messages I get through Facebook. Hey, can you give me a quote? Sure. Can you give me a call? I want to have a relationship with the client. I want to know a little bit about you, because if we're going to go down that road working together, we're going to have uncomfortable discussions, maybe, whether it's the appraisal, whether it's the rental market, whether the lease is not signed correctly yet, whether the LOC documents are not there. We got to know one another. If it's cold from like a Facebook Messenger, and that's fine. You could Facebook message me, but we need to have a conversation. I'm not giving you a rate quote on my Facebook page. That's just not going to happen. I've been in the industry way too long not to be arrogant or snobbish, but to be professional. Okay, this is still a profession. It still requires licenses, and it also requires integrity. Most prospective real estate investors may hesitate to get into the game because they don't really understand the financing options that are available. There's more money than deals right now, where in 2008, there was more real estate than money. If you don't know how to finance a fix and flip or rental property, it's time to consider understanding your loan options or choices. Understanding the 70% rule of ARV. You need to know that cold. Okay, that is the lender's backbone right now. 70% of the after repair value minus the repair cost is what I should be buying that property at. There's only three numbers I need to know when it's a fixed to rent or fixed to flip, or whether it's a hard money loan or a direct private lending loan. I need to know what the after repair value is. I want to know what the repair costs are, and when I want to know what I'm buying it at. If you don't know those three numbers, as a lender, how should I help you if you don't know those numbers? Like how would I be able to help you derive any type of pricing? Because the next question I'm going to ask: how many rehabs you have completed in the last 48 months? How many flips you have completed in the last 48 months with ownership? How many investment properties do you own? Hard money and direct private lending are no different. And then Joe brought up great, personal type of relationship with lending, peer to peer lending. When you're lending to somebody that's a peer, and you're kind of like, hey, listen, I'm sizing you up, but I got to make sure I'm getting my money back. There's too many people that think they have such a great deal and don't need the credit requirements and the cash requirements, and I should ride the entire responsibility for your successes. I'm seeing more posts on requests for, hey, please partner with me. I got great deals. I want a joint venture with a hard money lender, a direct private lender. I don't want to be your business partner. I have enough moving parts being your lender. Why would I want to take now the additional risk for you to make all the money? Yeah, I'm going to make money. Don't get me wrong, but why should I? I have enough people that are qualified. There's enough people out there that have 700 scores, $50 to $100,000 in the bank, have an LOC, have a brain on their shoulders, and know how to underwrite a deal with some basic tools that we provide, actually complementary. I'm also seeing another thing. Everybody wants to be a mentor. Everybody wants to teach about their work, their savviness. I will never provide a paid course where that you're going through a module like that. I'm strictly going to provide education, insight, and strategy, and stay a true licensed professional. I have nothing against a lot of these workshops. I attend them as a vendor. I speak at a lot of them as a presenter. But there's only so much money you should invest before you actually get into the deal. Okay, so fixed to flip loans and DSCR loans, fixed to rent loans, new construction loans, multifamily 5+ units, mixed use with residential commercial blend. You can take all the workshops that you want and knock yourself out. At the end of the day, you need to sit down with your lender, understand your financial capability, and understand what is the lending criteria to that actual physical. Not every property is the same. Every property works at a different engine block. Some are working on a 4-cylinder, some are working on an 8-cylinder, some are working on a 6-cylinder. You need to understand lending. You can take all the workshops in the world. You can hang out with all the multifamily residential gurus. At the end of the day, they all need a lender. Okay, not everybody's buying cash. Eventually, somebody needs a mortgage, and eventually that property needs to be underwritten. So, shouldn't you be proficient in understanding how to price a deal out and be in control of your destiny with your lender? Dave, good morning and welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What are the most important factors in real estate lending for you?
Morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dave DeVito. I'm a licensed real estate solutions specialist here based in Fairfield County, Connecticut, just outside of New York City. One-time wholesaler. I combine the two to give sellers and buyers options to transact ethically with high integrity. And I am also an investor myself, and I work with Joe as a private money affiliate lender. Great topic, Joe. It is always, for me, as in any vendor relationship, it's all about service for me, which tends to go into the relationship. And that's why I've enjoyed working with you, because I know that you are on your business and you work really hard and you're engaging. As I say, the best ability is availability. And it's really troubling when a lot of these vendors and lenders that I dealt with in the past will just take forever to work your business. Time is money, and so that's a big one. And then obviously integrity, we can go down that line too. But getting a little bit more into the business part of it, it's also a couple of other things. For me, it's just having a defined process, knowing the process, and obviously, business isn't a straight line. I understand that, but at the same time, knowing the lender's process and making sure that it's consistent. It's very inefficient and tough where every single time I might call for a loan, it's like, oh, you need this paperwork to start, which is different than the one I had just a week ago. And so learning the consistency out of respect for not just my own business, but also for transacting with my lender is key. The other thing is diversity of product. There's a lot of different ways to transact in real estate investing, and so the more options, for me as both an investor, taking out loans myself for my purchases, but also as an affiliate, trying to be an attractive option for my investor clients who have thousands of options. Obviously, the real estate space is flooded with vendors. I want to be able to kind of be known as, people call me all the time as kind of like a one-stop shop, real estate concierge, whatever you want to call it. But in trying to achieve that brand, I try to go out there and achieve as many different transactional lending options for my clients, because then I know that they know that I can, be that one. So I'm going to be their first call. And it's not possible mostly to try to achieve that with just one vendor. Joey, you and I have talked about this. You're my go-to guy, as you know, but there's certain things that you don't really offer, which is fine. I respect your focus, but just finding a diversity, trying to go out there, and whether it's gap lending or transactional lending, obviously, so I deal with a lot of wholesalers in that regard is key. Speed of lending obviously is important. You got to do an appraisal, but the ones that can do a desktop versus a traditional appraisal, yeah, you're going to pay a premium for it, but a lot of my investor clients will gladly pay that premium because they might be under a tight deadline or under the gun. And so that's another element that I look for in a quality lender. I always look for lenders who are investors yourself, which Joe, I know obviously you are. And so, because for that, they are actually doing both sides of it. And so they get the art of the transaction. There's the art and there's the science. Obviously, all the things that you talked about earlier, knowing your numbers, knowing all the key elements as an investor before you even call your lender is the investor's responsibility. But it's also good where you've got a lender who can kind of talk within the art. So it's not just all within a tunnel vision where they can't see the gray. That's a must in any business, is being able to kind of really navigate a transaction, working collaboratively and knowing where the give and take is. It's the investor's responsibility for proving credibility in a variety of factors, but it's also valuable when you've got a lender that's just like I said, well, you didn't hit these 3 black and white things or 4 black and white things, so sorry, have a good day. And so that's the other element. So I think that's a good core. There's many more, but I'll let the rest of the room kind of chime in on this topic. But it's an important one. So thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Dave. And yeah, I probably am very. I mean, like I know exactly what I do, okay, and I know exactly what I shouldn't do, or I know what I don't do. So yeah, I know there's gap funding out there, and my form of gap funding is the unsecured business lines of credit. That's my one option, okay? Because I'm busy enough underwriting refinance and purchase on 30-year money. I'm looking at fixed to rent all day, fixed to flip all day. I'm looking at new construction opportunities. I'm looking at multifamily opportunities, 5 through 25, and I'm looking at mixed use with a blend of residential to commercial. There's only so much time in the day to get through 15 to 20 to 30 calls a day and get loans submitted and go to networking events and do presentations and put articles out and do social media marketing, have conversations with Yordell on social media strategies, and then have strategy discussions with clients. It's time consuming. So I try to stay in the lanes that I when somebody calls me about something, I got a call yesterday from a licensed realtor. You're a hard money lender. Yeah, I'll do some hard money, of course. What do you got? Oh, I have a deli with standalone retail, single unit. Okay, what's the appeal here? So you need money for a deli, somebody that owns a pizzeria, everything's cash business, and you want to buy another all cash business. So both places don't show anything on tax returns. That's not a sexy loan for me. That's like a waste of my time. I'm like, listen, I don't lend on that. Why? It's such a great deal. It's not a great deal. It's a great deal for you, but it's not a great deal for me. I just don't have an appetite for that. I have an appetite for a good deli with food. Of course, who wouldn't? But I don't have an appetite to hard money that. And they can close up shop the next day. And the only person that makes money on that is the realtor with the commission. So a lot of real estate agents are very confused at what hard money is and what it's for. That's not a deal for me, and that's something I'll never do. Why would I? I mean, you're in a very risky commercial economic market right now. Why would I put money out on a standalone deli where there's nothing? The deli goes away. It's just an empty storefront. To me, that's like the highest risk investment ever. Okay, and the reason why both those businesses are cash businesses because they should just be buying it cash for that matter. And if they don't have it, they shouldn't be buying it because now they're over leveraging themselves because lending is about leverage. Leverage is so important. Understanding DSCR and understanding the different costs or expenses that come into leverage. That's what I'm underwriting all day. You need to think about what is somebody going to think about from a leverage perspective, not about how much money you're going to make. I need to look at the risk of leverage, the risk of debt service coverage ratio, and the capability of that individual getting out or into a better loan, whether it's a bridge or long term. Okay, rates are what they are right in front of us. Are we going to see massive shifts in rates over the next 24 to 36 months? I don't really feel anything's going to change much within a half a point over the next 24 months. With whoever becomes president, whatever happens with the election, whatever happens with the economics, your rate's going to stay somewhere between 7% or higher or lower any given time over the next 24 to 36 months. You might see a shift when things settle out in about 36 months. Once we kind of see where we are economically, with some of the office retail impact and some of the other factors that are out there. But the idea that you're going to see rates at 4 and 5% are illogical, and that's just false knowledge in the market. You're not proficient in the market if you think that's really going to happen. And if you are, you're just living in the land of make believe. You need to understand lending markets and how they work, right? So, people look at the unemployment numbers. That's something that was used back in the Depression era. That doesn't impact the economic impact to rate. I'd be more concerned about layoffs. I'd be more concerned about a commercial occupancy or non-occupancy. I'd be looking at bankruptcies Those are what are going to impact the market and the rate and how I'm going to look at what a deal looks like, especially if it's going to have some form of commercial impact to the property. So if it's going to be a 4 unit and there's going to be a storefront, what is that storefront going to be, right? Is it going to be one of the thousands of nail salons in the market? Or, what's it, is it going to be a strong tenant with strong financials? Is it going to be owner occupied and you're going to run that storefront plus have the rental units covering your overhead? I want to understand that. What's your credit score like? Just because it's a great deal and your credit score is 540, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So you need to another thing a lot of investors need to understand is the structuring of your operating agreement. Are you 100% owner of the LLC? Are you 51%? If somebody has really bad credit, they need to be under 19% ownership of that corporate structure. Even if they're bringing all the money to the table, on that operating agreement, they're not majority owner. They shouldn't be a guarantor. I'll give you a great example that happened this past week. I had somebody that had a 700 score and I had somebody with a 760 score. We restructured the operating agreement to the 760 score being the majority owner. Rates went down a full quarter point because the credit score was 760. So we went from 7.25, I think it was like 7.25 down to 7. That's extremely impactful over 8 properties. That was over 8 properties that were refinancing at 70% loan to value, a full quarter point. That has a massive impact on decision making, short and long term, for the client. Understanding credit score, understanding leverage, understanding debt service coverage ratio, understanding what an underwriter looks for and looks at, and what kind of worksheets you need to pencil your deals down. Understanding loan products. A lot of people, are accustomed to going to the traditional lender, and the ARM option is being provided, the 5 or 7-1 ARM. In the asset-based lending space, there's a 5, 7, or 10-1 ARM with a 30-year amortized on the back end, and it's an adjustable, not a balloon, where banks are typically a balloon, and they're only a 25-year amortized environment. Also, asset-based lending offers a 10-year interest only with a 30-year amortized loan. I'm not a fan of any of that because, one, the ARM could really work against you in time, which you're seeing going on right now in the multifamily space. But the interest only, you're not paying any debt down. Now, there's a little loophole also, and then there's the 30-year fixed. There's a loophole here that we need to talk about: the prepayment penalty. Now, banks are typically standard what they offer in prepayment. In the asset-based lending space, you could have a 5-4-3-2-1, 4-3-2-1, 3-2-1, 2-1, 1 year, no prepayment. Your rate changes by a quarter to a half a point on each prepayment change, right there. But even if you took the 5-year prepay, which is the best rate available in the most options in asset-based lending, you are allowed to pay down the loan amount, just no more than 20% of the total loan amount. You could pay 5% of that loan amount down a year through the year and not impact or not escalate a prepayment penalty. It's not that you can't pay down the loan amount. You just can't pay the full loan amount off without a penalty the first 5 years, or the 4 years, or the 3 years, or the 2 years, or the 1 year. So you need to understand and have a deeper discussion with your lender, understanding the prepayment, because there's workarounds that are not in the gray. And I know I'll take a word from Dave. They're in the documentation. It's not like I'm hiding anything. You just need to understand your loan, and you have to expect turbulence in the market. So you need to be more chameleon-like and understand: do I take a 3-2-1 prepay? Do I take a 5? Am I really going to refinance this property over the next 5 years? Am I going to be really happy with the rate that I have in front of me? Does it still work? Does the debt service coverage ratio work now? And will it improve as rents improve? Having a discussion about your cost of your loan, understanding underwriting fees if it's multiple properties, understanding legal fee, understanding the appraisal fee, understanding escrow. All commercial loans in my space, escrow. Banks don't always escrow. We do. We're not a bank. We're a hedge fund. We're insurance money. So we can't hold it in a bank account. So understanding that, understanding what the cost of title will be, especially if there's a massive transfer tax, taking it from your personal name to the LLC, but it's all about asset protection now. Timothy, good morning and welcome. brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion this morning. What are the most important factors in real estate lending for you? Timothy, going once? There you go.
Sorry about that. Couldn't get off mute quick enough. Joseph, actually, everyone's been hitting those points, and to Dave's, what he was talking about earlier, and actually what Joe Martel, the other Joseph was speaking about, is have your numbers, know what they are. We all say that, do your due diligence, and also know what kind of products you're shopping for. Know what the investment that you're presenting to your lender as somebody as a part of your power team. And remember, that is one part of your power team, a very important part of your power team. Know what those are. Know what they are that you're presenting to them. If you're going to a lender that you don't know or you've never networked with, they're all going to be the same very same question. So again, if you don't know what you have, it's hard. It's really challenging for a lender to take you up on that business deal, no matter what kind of relationship, whether you have a personal relationship with them or if it's first time. So I get it. And, actually, I have some questions eventually about getting into the commercial space, but I haven't formulated that yet, and I will be contacting Joseph later. But Joseph and I have actually had these conversations before, to where he's asked me the very same questions, rapid fire, and I had those answers for him. I have it all documented. But when if you're going from a single property, it's a lot easier to it's easier to remember. But yes, have it documented. Would be 1, 2, 3, 4. How many other properties you're looking at? Make sure you have that, all filed away. Make sure those numbers are accessible immediately. So again, it also depends on the product you're shopping for. Know what you're in for. As far as you being able to make money and your lender being able to make money back on that. If your lender's not able to make money, they're not going to be interested in taking that deal. So again, do your due diligence on what kind of property you're investing. So again, those are my 2 cents. So I'm also the co-host of tonight's show with Garrett Rhodes. Just want to put that out there. So please, if anybody would like to start learning about landlording in the buy and hold real estate space, tonight's show will be just for you. It is Landlording 101. So, and looking forward to seeing you guys, everyone there at 8 o'clock this evening. So again, Joseph, thank you very much for having me up on stage, having me as a moderator and good friend and business associate. Again, this is Timothy Doyle with Steel Hill Properties out here in the Greater Lehigh Valley. Remember, if you can't buy it, steal it.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. And I think there's some misleadings, and I want to apologize ahead of time. I provided debt service coverage ratio worksheet, the DSCR worksheet, which I'm trying to help you understand all the costs involved that you should consider: deferred maintenance, vacancy, management, debt service, so you understand all the costs that could be potentially in front of you, right? In the lending landscape with the DSCR, when I'm pricing the loan out, I'm not taking vacancy, deferred maintenance, and or property management into an account to your cost. I'm looking at principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and association fees if it's a townhome or a condo association, the PITIA. I send you the debt service coverage ratio worksheet because I'm giving you a more realistic understanding of what everything could hit you at after the loan closes. I'm also providing a cash flow worksheet to understand cash on cash return. Understand what are you making per door up and above DSCR, making up above the pricing of the rate. You need to understand all these moving parts. Is there a cost benefit to the cash on cash return and cash flow to that subject property based on whether it's a 1 through 4 unit, 5 through 25, whether it's a mixed use of residential and commercial. Also, what are the tax benefits? Have you sat down with your accountant understanding the tax impact to what you're accounting for? These escrows, the deferred maintenance, the vacancy, the property management fee. What is that tax benefit and impact to you as a real estate professional? Like, has anybody seriously taken the worksheet that I provide and sit down with their CPA and say, hey, listen, how am I allocating for all this? What should I be doing from a bookkeeping perspective before I send all this crap over to you? Right? Seriously, I don't think people take enough precautions. And then another thing is, have you talked to your attorney about your corporate structure? Who are the members of that LLC? Right? How can family benefit and take some ownership into it? God forbid something happens to you, and they need to take over that LLC. Do you have a like a catch net to all that? Like, have you thought it through? You need to think these things through. And I'm not even, I'm just a lender, and I'm thinking this on your behalf. You own 50 properties. What's your plan here? Like, what do you like? I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about 5 properties. Like, what's your plan in 5 years, 10 years? Is it cost benefit to get the lowest rate and pay down the rate and never refinance the properties again? Is it safe to say leave some room in the deal and be at 75? Just take the rate the way it is. Understanding your costs and the cost benefit. Have you talked to your accountant? Does it make sense to do 1 loan or 5 loans? So you really need to walk this through simultaneously when you're talking to the lender. Like, I'm today, one of my many meetings today, I have a meeting with a CPA because I want to see if he makes sense for having him as one of my other CPA referral partners for some of my investor friends that have accounting issues, whether they're private lending, because he's done private lending accounting. He's done also investor lending accounting. So I want to sit down with him and understand what he's thinking, how he's thinking, who's part of his team, how can he assist my clients, and does it make sense? I'm interviewing him because I want to make sure if I hand somebody over, they're being handed over to the righteous individual to add to that investor's power team. So you got to understand cash flow. You need to understand DSCR. You need to understand the DSCR to a lender. You need to understand the tax benefits. You understand what where are these buckets going? Like, okay, great. I'm accounting for deferred maintenance and vacancy. Where's that money go? And how should I record that in a bank account? How should I be sitting in a bank account all by itself every month? Or should I be putting that in pocket and going to AC and putting it on red? Right? So you need to really understand what we're doing here. Okay? And we also have to understand appreciation and the depreciation write-off. You really want to have a clear vision of what that investment strategy looks like. Right? This is a business. You're not buying a bicycle, you're not buying a pet dog, you're buying a physical property with a responsibility of a tenant and the responsibility of taking care of that tenant under your roof. Right? There's a lot of layers to this. Knowing your market and how that's going to look, understanding the cost of financing options before investing is so important. That's why I put this book together, this module, and teaching this course as a CE, instructional course for licensed real estate agents, and being able to provide it nationwide it's very personal to me. I have a passion for it. I want to minimize your risk to better understand the financing piece. You could take all the workshops in the world. Had a client of mine said, "Hey, why don't you come up? I'm at this multifamily event up in wherever it was." I'm like, "Listen, I'm working with clients right now. I really don't need to be taking a workshop. I can underwrite probably 10 times better than a person that's instructing you. If you want me to send you my worksheets, how to underwrite a deal, knock yourself. I can do that for you if you want. I'm not trying to insult each other's intelligence, but there's only so much time in the day. Is that individual the one that's lending you money?" He goes, "Oh, no, he's he's an expert in multifamily. Well, he most likely is an expert because he has a very good underwriter loan officer that knows how to underwrite a deal. It's not him or her. It's the individual issuing the money. Maximizing the value of your investment is extremely important. Somebody else has to understand that, and you never want to over improve an investment property. You're going to be chasing that carrot on your investment for the next 10 years. You got to pay attention to the location where you're buying, and you need to. I want to work with smarter people. I want to. People say, "Hey, I'm a pretty smart guy." I want to hang out with people smarter than me. I do not want to hang out with a room of people not as smart as me. Okay, I want people to excite me in the sense of testing my wit in a good, positive, passionate way when I'm talking real estate.
Is that why you hang out with me?
That's still up for debate, Joe. So again, there's recovery once you buy a property. There's expansion once you buy that property. There's hyper supply when you're buying that property. There's recessionary impact when you're buying that property. You need to invest through your LLC. You need to grow your network. You need to learn how to find good spots and good deals that make sense for you, and expect to go over your budget and timeline over and over again. And you need to specialize. Like I went to an event Friday night. A couple of people were like, I want a house hack. That's great, but I don't do house hacking loans. I don't do owner occupied loans. If you're going to owner occupy, you need to go find yourself a traditional FHA lender, USDA lender, VA lender, or conventional lender. I am a licensed banker, but I have no passion to ever do one of those type of loans ever again. Anything that smells or sounds or looks like owner occupied, I can't do because I'm doing the loan in an LLC, commercial, and it needs to have leases for non-owner occupants. And you can't rent to family members with the same last name. Justin, good morning and welcome. Thank you for your patience. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What are the most important factors in real estate lending for you?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. I guess I'll just do a quick rundown for me. Well, first of all, I'm a real estate professional in the southern Louisiana, southeastern Louisiana region, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge, and some of Acadiana. So, I honestly, like I said, man, I've been speaking on this my little journey for where I'm at it on these talks for a few weekends now, but I honestly feel like the presentation, and like I said, the presentation that you give your lender is almost like an audition. Before and even recently, I think the one I gave, I think me being in my juggling all the things that I was juggling, Joe, I turned things in pieces to you, not over weeks period, but just pieces. I think one of the things we had to go and get some adjustments made on an LLC. But anyways, my point is, I'm going back to when I come to a lender, delivering them a presentation of what I'm doing, and all in one form, all in PDF. They all want one thing or another, right? And some of them will disregard it if you don't need it. But I'm creating packages that I can just copy and paste and put updated documents in a PDF. That way I can just send it off. That's one of the things I'm doing. It makes it easy for your lenders and underwriters and their underwriters to review. It also says something about yourself and your preparedness for what you're about to venture off into. And when I was getting going and I was young, I knew that impression was, I realized making that impression would help me, right? Knowing that I was a beginner. And so, like I said, in panic mode, there have been instances where I've just been juggling a lot of things and didn't put it in that fashion. And, like I said, knowing better and doing, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. So I just think this is the part where you're really pitching your deal. This is really the only time you should have to pitch your deal is to your lender. And maybe if you have some partners or investors or somebody else you're asking for money, then you would pitch it to them as well. But I'm really big on, like you guys were speaking on earlier, knowing all your numbers like the back of your hand, knowing what you're gonna, what your plans are, and always keeping your exit strategy or exit strategies in mind, and making sure they'll be available to you in your 1, 3, 5 year period or whatever the case may be. So yeah, Joe, just be ready to answer all the questions for your lender, and and consider your lender a partner in your deal, even if they're not on the LLC. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Justin. And I always appreciate you being here. You've been part of this group right from the very first day, 2 years ongoing, and I really appreciate you being part of this growth of where we're at. From a start as the anti group, on Clubhouse. We went to a very integrous space and went really deep into it, and we started having events, and then we started getting into the podcasting and the marketing and things of that nature. And Justin's been there from the very beginning. My questions are very simple as a lender, right? And lenders should try to keep it simple. This is not very complicated. I know people want to tell you the story, and like I tell people, I'll listen to the story. No, I have no problem listening. I'll even put it on mute and let you talk till you can't breathe anymore. Okay, but at the end of the day, there's specific questions and specific answers, right? Basic information. Who are the borrowers? What are their full names? What's their credit score? What's their reserves? Checking, savings, retirement, lines of credit. What's the LLC name? What's the address of the property? What's the asset type? Single family through 4 family, 5+ units through 25 plus units. Does it have a commercial blend of mixed use? What is the property? You should be able to tell me. Oh, it's a single family with an ADU. That means it's a single family and it has an ADU, but it's designated single family, and that's fine. Let's get to the root of what the property is. It shouldn't be that complicated. You're buying the property. I'm lending on the property. Don't you think I should know? Do you think I should? Do you want me to find out that it's incorrect 2 weeks down the road when we order an appraisal? No, you want me to know now, right? I want to then know, what is the loan type? Is it a standard debt service coverage ratio, refinance or purchase? Is it a bridge, fixed to rent? Is it a bridge, fixed to flip? Is it a bridge, fixed to rent, or fixed to flip 1 through 4 units? Is it a bridge, fixed to rent, fixed to flip 5+ units? Or is it a fixed to rent, fixed to flip, mixed use with a commercial blend to residential? And remember, it should be at least 51% residential to your 49% commercial to get true asset-based lending options. I'm seeing more now investors either shrinking or eliminating the commercial presence in a lot of these properties and to going fully residential. They see the opportunity, and they see less of opportunity having a commercial presence as much as possible. Is it new construction? Is it a bridge from a bridge? Say you have a project that's in asset-based lending or direct, hard money, and you just didn't get the project done in a timely manner, and the loan's being called. Do you need another bridge? Right? I'm not a lender that does second position loans. Supposedly they exist. I don't have anything to do with that type of lending. I don't want anything to do with that lending. Okay, I know what I'm very good at, right? If you say there's somebody out there that's doing it, go to them. Why are we having a vast conversation on this? Because I can't do it, right? I can provide unsecured business lines through the LLC as long as your credit's above 700. Now, know what your credit score is. 660 to 680, 680 to 700, 700 to 720, 720 to 740, 740 to 760, 760 to 800. I'm telling you the rates are different. I'm also telling you that the leverage on DSCR is different. It's not I'm deciding on this. This is our industry standards. Remember, we're not regulated like a Fannie Freddie lender, but we have industry standards that we go by. We can't go into the gray of that, right? And the timing of buying the property is very important. Flipping a property, you should be buying, if you're going to flip something for the spring market, when should you buy it knowing whatever the renovation cost and timeline is? Probably in the fall sometime. Because by the time you get it stabilized, CO, staged, re-inspected, warranties put in place, and listed by the licensed realtor, you're in April, May. When's the perfect time to put a student housing project up? You better have that thing ready by July, so you should be buying it the year before to make sure July is ready to rock and roll. It's timing. Because then otherwise you're looking at high vacancy. And nobody takes, it's really funny. I talked to a real estate agent, and I think he had a really good handle of this project. And he's like, I handle all my rentals. I said, so what's your timeline of vacancy? He goes, you know what? That's a great question. He goes, I'm going to be done with the project April 1, and I'm probably not going to have it rented till May 15th. I said, so are you taking 2 months into vacancy into your year one? He goes, absolutely. I'm taking 3 months. Okay. Most people don't take anything into account on vacancy. Why aren't you doing that? Like these are things that you need to be smarter and having a deeper discussion with your lender. Let's get some outros from Mr. Dave DeVito and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What are the most important factors in real estate lending for you?
Yeah, great conversation, Joe. I mean, I think what we've been talking about, what you've been talking about, did a great job of just know your business and be prepared. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy, and also be realistic. Those are some themes that I think we all have to keep in mind.
Thank you, Dave. Look forward to seeing you this week up in Westport.
Absolutely.
Joseph, your outro and thoughts to what are the most important factors in real estate lending for you?
Build that relationship, know your numbers, have your stuff ready. You're looking at a deal, you should be prepared with whatever it is that you do to prep your deal, whether it's one of Joe's spreadsheets or it's pen and ink. Be prepared to share that, but make sure you know your stuff, because you're going to get asked questions, and when people have doubts, they're not going to loan you money.
Joe, I know you don't. I mean, you have copies of my worksheets. I mean, how helpful have they helped you in any way just looking at them?
Yeah, they have. I mean, listen, I'm much younger than you. I have to point that out, but I do things the old-fashioned way. Right? I like the pen and paper. It makes me feel a little bit more, and I feel silly saying this, but it makes me feel a little bit more personalized with my property than just plugging in numbers in a spreadsheet and then doing the calculations alone. Because I feel that it's almost like using a GPS where you don't remember how to get to places because we're lazy now. We use GPSs. That if I actually pen and ink it and assess the deal myself, there's some memory that's committed to it into that deal. So, no, your spreadsheets do help a lot. It helps for reminding of what categories I need to get expenses for, right? But I pen and ink it, and I keep my numbers in OneNote and look at them every day almost until they drive me crazy and the closing's done and I find out my numbers are true.
Yeah. Yeah, and also one thing to add, I've been extending every day for you to come and meet me at the gym to see how much age difference we really do have at the gym, but you have never accepted my invitation, so I'm still waiting for that.
I must be going to the wrong gym, Joe.
Anybody that, hey, listen, the best conversations I can have, other than having dinner with me and Joe one night, meet me at the gym at 6:30 a.m. and you'll have a great conversation for an hour and a half with me. Okay, so I'm waiting for Joe to show up. I think he keeps walking by but doesn't come in. But we'll get him in there one of these days. So, some final thoughts to this. Have a strategy discussion. I also now provide, up and above the worksheets I've been sending out for the last couple of years, is pricing sizers. You really want to understand how to price your deal as that. You want to know what the market is bearing on rate, all right? And you really want to understand, can you live with that rate with that deal? because you're going to live with it for a little while. You're going to you're going to have that. It's going to show up on your mortgage statement. It's going to impact your PITIA. It's going to impact your cash flow. It could impact your tenant-landlord relationship. It could impact tax impact. It could impact appreciation. You need to understand how to escrow these costs that we're talking about every month. You need to be the better investor with your lender, whoever it might be. It might not be me. I might not be a fit for you. Okay, so and that's okay. We're just an educational portal. No one is selling anything other than providing a service of who they are and what they do. I mean, Joe and Tim are not even licensed real estate agents. They're real estate investors. They're just giving their insight from past and present experiences. Work with somebody that's transactional, somebody that's comfortable in their skin, that can have a comfortable conversation, somebody that'll listen, and somebody that'll say, "Hey, we need to talk about this. Do you mind if we talk about this?" Okay, and having that discussion of these numbers. Okay. I want to thank everybody for their engagement this morning. I want to thank everybody for their nice comments down in the chat. And I also offer anybody that wants to, ask to come up. This is an open discussion. I mean, we have some wonderful, and I'm very blessed with great moderators. But I always love, the fresh conversations or discussions. There's nothing wrong. No one's going to see you. It's just basic conversation. And these are discussions we're having right off the cuff. These are very natural, passionate discussions that are coming right out of our mouths fresh. This is not all pre-planned. None of this is. So we're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our podcast at thecreativebirdstrategies.com. We're also on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. We're on YouTube Live. We're on Facebook Live. I want to thank our sponsors, of course, Realty 411, Abstract National, MB Capital, Lenmar Capital, and Percatech. We offer educational tools and spreadsheets for you to be a better real estate professional or service. And we're now extending a CE course for licensed real estate agents in navigating asset-based lending nationwide for 3 credit CE. So anybody would like to collaborate on that and provide that for their base of licensed real estate agents, I look forward to that starting May 1. I'm scheduling out forward. And I'm very excited that I was asked to present at Triple Play in Atlantic City on this course. And when I told them, they're like, "Hey, how much are you charging to come and teach the class?" I'm like, "I don't charge." They're like, "Wait a minute, you don't want to get paid?" I'm like, "No, I get paid by my company." They're like, "Oh, let's do it." So it's like, no problem. So I am teaching it once, I think, at Triple Play. I'm teaching it also at the Delaware Realtor Association convention down in Dewey Beach, which I'm excited about as well. And there'll be other announcements coming up for the fall. But again, great discussion this morning with our moderators. Everybody have a blessed Sunday morning. And my quote this morning is, "When life is good, pray. When life is hard, pray. Never forget to pray." Amen. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. And thank you again, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, Donna.